Hey guys, and welcome to a rather special double cast. Today, we're going to be taking a look at two dino builds. The first game shall be between the Might of Chad Thorgrim, aka Grombrindle, up against Spice Power Total War. Now, this was taken from some tournament action, and the second game today will also be a tournament game, because we want to be looking at the competitive nature of Bastiladons in the current meta. So, a lot of people complain Bastiladons are too powerful, a lot of people complain Bastiladons are too weak. Now, the Bastiladons we're talking about today, of course, are not the Feral Bastiladon. No one's complaining about him. He's sitting in the corner, staring at the wall on time out. It is the Bastiladons with solar engines and the arcs of Sotek. And today, in Battle 1, we will be checking out those glorious solar engines, and we have two of them. I would argue that they're not really overpowered or anything, but very, very pivotal to the Dino Boys. They're very good in a number of matchups. Wood Elf springs to mind, Beastmen as well. They can certainly do a good number, and we actually have a Lizardmen Dino box build today. We have some Swords of Spears guard the flanks and rear, as well as the cohort of Sotek. Double Sking Javelins waiting in the secondary battle line to launch those javelins up and over their Temple Guard allies. And then we have the double Temple Guard, one of which is the Star Chamber Guardians, some of the coolest and most badass looking units in the entire game, but particularly here for the Dino Boys. I love the black skulls with the red kind of emerald eyes. It looks pretty badass. We have Lord Mazdamundi leading the battle line, of course, riding to battle on the glorious true ruler of Alastria, the mighty Zlak here. Let's give him a little neck scratch. But for his puppet today, Mr. Mazdamundi up in the skies, he's coming in with the Ruination. We have Banishment, Shield of the Old Ones, Apotheosis, Harmonic Convergence, interestingly enough, as well as the Net of Amantok. All very good spells, and we even have the Sunburst Standard, which is one of those items which makes boxing a little bit more, usable for the Lizardmen, because often you can kind of get abused by Traderkin's Flock of Doom and a load of range shots coming in, but at least it helps mitigate some of that range damage. Now, for the forces of Ice Power, of course, if you have seen many of my tournament live streams, you'll see Ice Power a lot. He gets to the semi-finals and finals events all the time, and he loves a cheeky double Ferromanticore, and that's what we have today. Both of them up in the sky. Fast, mobile terror. I actually did a video recently on the Manticore, kind of reasons why they're the most competitive monster in the game, particularly in the kind of tournament scene. We do have some Centaurs as well, so nice little bit of fast mobility on the right-hand side. We have some Centaurs with Throne Axes on the left. Triple Ungor Raiders, they're going to be very important here, and some more Throne Axes as well. Main battle line will be cheap, cheerful Ungor Spearheads. Nothing, to be honest, to write home about there. They're kind of just here to bog down the enemy, waste shots, absorb damage, while the rest of the build actually packs a punch. We have some Chaos Warhounds with Poison. We have some Tuskor Chariots, two units, in fact, to kill all the infantry. We have a Brave Shaman coming in with Traderkin, and then we have the Mino Boyos. We have the mighty Torox the Brass Bull charging full steam ahead right now, as well as a Gorble, though it seems like they are currently the focus of attention for those solar engines, who of course cannot currently see the Ungor Raiders and know the threat that lurks in the shadows. But one of them is tying down a Tuskor Chariot and gets a beautiful hit. I think actually skimmed the first two chariots and then connected with the third one. Look at that damage. Oh my god, that's horrific damage. Really lovely work done here by Gary, and we'll see if Barry can try to one-up him. Looks like he's in fact going after the Gorble at the moment. Not a bad target whatsoever. I like the targeting right now by Grombrindle. Focus down the Tuskor Chariots, because they're going to be a big, big problem for this build. We do see Mazdamundi take a few shots. A big, fat, juicy Traderkin is going to come down. I hope this is overcast, and it looks like it is. That's going to catch Swords of Spears. That catches Star Chamber Guardians, Mazdamundi, Barry. It catches so many, and you can see Tuskor Chariots really taking quite a pounding right now. We do get an Apotheosis on the Star Chamber Guardians, who are absorbing a lot of pressure, and a cheeky little net on the Brave Shaman. A little bit risky, though, for Lord Mazdamundi to push out this far, because there is, of course, the Ferromanticores, and the Gorble and Torox might just start to move back this way to try to assist in the assassination attempt. One unit of Tuskor Chariots has been forced back, but they still have all their models, so their damage output is going to be absolutely fine for now, and the defensive box is completely holding. We are getting a nice kind of flank overload, targeting one of the weaker portions, which of course will be the Saurus Spearmen, with the Gorble, with Torox Brass Bull, and the Cavalry, and the Chariots, all swooping in, running over the poor little Saurus. We do get a Shield of the Old Ones go down to try to negate some of the damage, but right now, Lord Mazdamundi and the Star Chamber Guardians are starting to struggle a little bit on this right-hand side of the formation. Left-hand side's going fantastic, though. Bastiladon is continuously firing in. It looks like the Tuskor Chariots have rallied, but they're not currently moving. I'm not sure if they're in or out of range right now of Gary the Dino, and it looks like they are out of range as he's simply shooting into Ungor Raiders, and we have Tentacles with Throne Axes being focused down by the other unit as well. Lord Mazdamundi is starting to have a bit more of a fun time now that he's surrounded by his elite bodyguard. Tentacles trying their best to cycle charge in here. Torx Brassbull and the Gorbel launch themselves into combat, into the flank of Mazdamundi as well. He's going to be taking quite a lot of damage, but he does, of course, have that Guardian. We get a little net come down on the Centaurs, stopping them from kiting. And that is going to allow the Sword Spears and Star Chamber Guardians to drag down those models where possible. We do get the first banishment of the day come down on top of the Ungor Raiders as well as the Centaurs. A really lovely cast. It is ripping the life from those Centaurs, and it's not quite going to connect with the Ungor Raiders, but does some damage to them as well. Really lovely cast, and Ruination to follow it up. Unfortunately, Ruination completely whiffs and does basically no damage. Little Skinks going to start getting aggressive to try to break through this weakened front line and hopefully shut down those Ungor Raiders. Cult of Sotek is still relatively healthy, and they need to be. They need to rally over here and try desperately to save Lord Mazdamundi, who is falling back once again to the Temple Guard as the double Ferromanticore are hounding and harassing him wherever he goes on the battlefield. Apotheosis is going to keep him nice and topped up, and the Ferromanticore has indeed rampaged, and it is rampaging into the worst possible target. The Temple Guard, with their halberds, will be able to rip bloody wounds and juicy flesh from the Manticore, which decides, you know what, that doesn't sound like my kind of vibe, and is going to simply run away. Good play here by Ice Power, using Tuskor Chariots where possible to run over into the rear of the Saurus Spearmen, and that Gorbel Taurox bromance is so tough. It is hounding Lord Mazdamundi as he gets pinned in by Manticore and Chariots, but somehow Zlak, he knows what's up, and he manages to force his way to freedom rather fortuitously there, as the Ferromanticore now goes out of control, and is about to receive those ramming tusks of Zlak, and that Ferromanticore not having a good day whatsoever. Both the Bastiladons are still alive and have used up the majority of the ammunition, so I'm expecting some pretty good damage value from them. Brave Shaman's still well and truly alive, though there are going to be some skink cohorts looking to hunt and harass the spellcaster where possible, which certainly isn't a bad idea. Balance power, though, is relatively heavily in favour, I would say, of the Beastmen forces right now. The Gorbel gets rammed right up the rear there by Lord Mazdamundi. His Star Chamber Guardians and Temple Guard, ever loyal, are in hot pursuit of him, trying to keep up and protect him from any nasty sniping potential. And the Gorbel is down to just 560 HP. The Bastiladons aren't able to finish him off, though. They are currently focused on Taurox the Brass Bull, and the second Bastiladon tries to finish off the Feral Manticore, managing to drive them from the battlefield. We do have some Chaos Warhounds looking to get a rear attack on the Saurus Spear here. They are bounding across the field so quickly, but the Saurus actually turns to engage them, and that's going to turn from what would have been a good engagement for them into a very bad one, as we have Temple Guard coming over here to assist in grinding their bones to dust. We do get a cheeky little net go down on Taurox the Brass Bull, and that's going to allow, you would hope, the Bastiladons to actually hit something, but they completely miss, maybe going after Centaurs with Thrown Axes instead. But it will allow Lord Mazdamundi to do some cycle charge and then move away to safety once more. We also have the Star Chamber Guardians trying to drag him down, but they themselves are looking a little bit beat up right now, down to just 19 models. Centaurs with Thrown Axes constantly getting hounded and harassed, and the Apotheosis goes down on Lord Mazdamundi, trying to keep him a little bit more cheerful and topped up once more, as the Bastiladons are having to move into combat. You know, it's desperate when your Bastiladons have used up all their ammunition. Lord Mazdamundi is under so much pressure right now. Beautiful play so far by Ice Power to keep these Ungor Raiders alive, though they are starting to dwindle on their own ammo, and the Bastiladon as well as the Cult of Sotek are starting to shut down these units. The Brave Shaman has somehow found themselves in combat. Not quite sure how they ended up here. I don't think they're sure either, as they're completely surrounded by Temple Guard, Sword Spears, and Lord Mazdamundi. And yeah, that's a dead Shaman. Maybe he'll come back, but he's currently terror outing, which is pretty much good news for him, because it will mean he takes the quickest route to freedom, and maybe he'll be able to escape his rather unfortunate circumstances there. Gorbel's going to flee back, just trying to pull this Bastiladon out of position and away from the Temple Guard, and maybe turn around and engage or get some of these Ferromanticores over there. It does look like the Brave Shaman was able to rally, comes with a nice trade to kin, catching Lord Mazdamundi, as well as the Saurus Spearman there, but that is about it. Bastiladon does get a shot of the old ones to keep it nice and active and fighting up against this Ferromanticore. Once again, if it can rampage it, it's going to be so doomed, as Zlak charges in, shattering the beast with 1,000 blows. Its back broken, its body crumpled to the ground, and Zlak once again proving that he is the true ruler of Lastria. Don't fear the dread Saurian, fear the Zlacky boy. Cult of Sotek do pop refuse to die. Good targeting priority though by the Ungor Raiders, using up the remainder of their ammunition. Cult of Sotek have really bad armor, only 30 armor. Although the fact they pop refuse to die means they have a bucket ton of damage output right now, and the Brave Shaman is getting beaten down so badly. And once again, Mazdamundi's been all over the battlefield today, absorbing so much damage, and now he is leading the double Bastiladon, hopefully in his eyes to victory, but I'm not so sure. Balance power is still very heavily in favour of the Beastmen right now. The Ferromanticores have a bucket ton of punch despite being so weak, so we still have one Ferromanticore. Is the other anywhere to be seen? I don't think so. So one Ferromanticore, a rather healthy Torx the Brass Bull, a very beat up Gorbel, that's still a load of punch. And it looks like the Lizardmen infantry force kind of dwindling here, guys. Star Chamber Guardians are terrified, and this could be a good chance for the Centaurs to jump on them actually and try to break them for good because their leadership is so low right now. Ferromanticore does charge in. He is caught between two rather angry dinosaurs, however, and is instantly routed, and I'm very surprised it's not shattered yet. With only 29 HP and somehow not shattering. That is absolutely insane. Zlak's trying to finish the job, but he's not quite swift enough, unfortunately, and that does mean he's going to receive some rather nasty rear attacks from this Gorbel, and he's down to 1,391 HP, which sounds like a lot. When you look at his health bar compared to how much he starts with, it is a tiny portion. However, Apotheosis and Children of the Old Ones is going to keep him in action, and now it is the Gorbel's time to be hit from behind as the Bastiladons do some nice work, and now all three of them going to try to goon out Torx the Brass Bull with the assistance of some rather beat up Temple Guard and Saurus Spearmen now. Cohort have pushed forward, getting nice and aggressive into the face of the Ungor Raiders, swinging those maces around, doing some lovely damage. You can see the Ungor Raiders not having a good time whatsoever. Cohort should be able to carve their way through a lot of these guys, although they're down to just 12 models, so it looks like the Ungor Raiders may be able to survive just yet. More Ungor Raiders pouring shots on. They're very low on ammunition, but Mastermundi's very low on health, down to just 500 HP, and he is hunting Torx's Brass Booty down. A big old rear in the back as those horns gouge bloody wounds, aiming for that neck weakness that Torx does have. Cold-Blooded comes down on Lord Masmundi, trying to keep him in the fight as the Bastiladons do move up and try to engage with Torx, protecting the Masmundi himself. Ungor Raiders are out of ammunition, all three units now. Centicles are out of ammunition, but the Brave Shaman doth live. Another Traitor Kin coming down here. An Overcast one might finish the game, but an Overcast one will probably kill Lord Mazdamundi and break off the Temple Guard, including the Star Chamber Guardian. So we're giving Guardian to Lord Mazdamundi, which of course is a bucket ton of problems. I actually lied. We do have one volley left coming in, but it looks like, to be honest, it's been aimed like in a mixture at Temple Guard and stuff. Not getting that much damage value there. Torx Brass Bull does charge into Lord Mazdamundi, who gets off a clutch Apotheosis, but I don't think it's going to be enough. His leadership is wavering right now. Ungor Raiders break. The Temple Guard can do a fantastic job on Torx Brass Bull, but Lord Mazdamundi turns tails and flees. He's left the kettle on, or the oven on, and he needs to run back to cool it down before it does set Lustre on fire, and he is fleeing. Ungor Raiders, though, do start to get terrified away, and now we can see Star Chamber Guardians. Only 3 models left. Their Lord running. They don't give a damn. This is just an average day for a Star Chamber Guardian. They're continuing to fight despite the ridiculous damage they have sustained. Now it is time for the secret weapon of the Bastiladon Solar Engine. It's not the giant crystal on top of the head. It's not the Bastiladon being a tank. It is these little skinkies. They have, I believe, unlimited ammunition, I want to say. I'm not sure if it is unlimited or if it does have an insane amount, but either way, it doesn't really matter. I've never seen them run out of ammo, and they are launching javelin after javelin at Torx. Now, it doesn't do a huge amount of damage. If we have a little look, he's at 1,965 health, and then goes down to like 1,900. Let's see, are these guys actually going to connect any shots? Bam. They are missing like all of their shots right now. That's absolutely insane, but they do damage, I promise you. Trying to whittle down Torx, and there you go. You can see when they actually do connect, it's going to be a little bit of chip damage, but this will certainly add up over time, and it's actually moving the balance of power back towards the middle right now. Torx is spending so much time chasing off Lord Mazdamundi. If Mazdamundi rallies here, this is going to be completely wasted time for Torx, and Mazdamundi is, though, very close to the board edge. He has one leadership. Has he made enough distance between himself and the Brass Bull? That is also poison coming in on top of Torx to slow him down right now. Lord Mazdamundi rallies and pops a Cold-Blooded and Shield of the Old Ones to give himself enough leadership to continue to fight, and he is slapping Torx, beating him down to the ground. Zlak is going ham today. Massive damage wrought there to Torx, who's down to 1,131. He should be able to get this kill. He does. Bring down our beloved favourite dino. It's a sad day when you see a beautiful dino like this. I say favourite dino, of course, don't let me forget about Grimlock, but he did a good job today. He was a very, very proud dinosaur. The main infantry fight, of course, is going to be going very heavily favoured here to the forces of the Dino Boys. But remember, we have that Traitor Kin in the back pocket, and the trap is sprung. Every single unit left in the Lizardmen force, apart from the triple Star Chamber Guardians there, gets hit by a Traitor Kin. It is not Overcast, however. Sword Spears take a load of damage. Everyone is looking really beat up right now, but Ungor Raiders are terrified away. That's, at the end of the day, not the worst decision for them either. If they just flee back in different directions, it buys time for Torx to come back into the main fight, and maybe for the Brave Shaman to save up some more Winds of Magic, but the Brave Shaman themselves down to 381 hit points. That's not much whatsoever. Bastiladons still launching those Javelins. Not the most accurate of Javelins, I'm afraid. Looks like Torx is going to retreat, but it gets clipped in the back there by some more Javelins, which are now being launched into the Ungor Raiders. And hey, at the end of the day, all adds up. You can see that poison coming down. Somehow the Saur Spearmen were able to catch and shatter the Brave Shaman, but they themselves then break. Bastiladons are moving a little far away here from the Temple Guard. They need to make sure they all stay together. That is the key to victory. And stopping Torx getting some godlike RNG and bringing this back. But the Bastiladon's so angry. He fears no brass ball. No puny Chaos God is going to be standing in the way between the Bastiladon and the great plan of the Old Ones. A Pyrrhic victory there for the forces of the Lizardmen. It makes my dino heart very proud here to see Grombrindle performing so well with the dinosaurs. Well played to Ice Power as well, a ferocious competitor, nearly dragging it back in the later stages of the game. Maybe in hindsight, chasing with Torx, instead of using Torx to finish off the engines, was a bad play. But, I mean, if he had finished off Lord Mazdamundi and actually chased him off the battlefield at that time, maybe it would have come back where he would be able to break the Bastiladons that bit quicker before he take a bucket ton of damage. Now, this is simply game 1 of 2 today. We're doing a double cast. We're going to be focusing next on a battle between myself and Dacta, which is Lizardmen versus Vampire Counts. Should be some really good fun here. But well played to Ice Power, well played to Grombrindle. Let's quickly break down the damage value of all these units. Lord Mazdamundi, 89 kills, 2,283 damage value. He was absolutely everywhere on the battlefield today. He absorbed so much damage and so much pressure and gave it back in abundance, using the majority of his magic on himself to heal himself. But we had banishments, we had ruinations, that they all did a decent job. 889 damage value on the Saurus here, 655 and 208, 750 on the Cohort of Sotek. Temple Guard, 1.2k damage value and 775. Doesn't seem absolutely absurd or anything, but they did a really good job protecting Mazdamundi through the course of the battle. The little Javelins are amazing, 698 damage value. The other unit fared a little bit worse, however. As for the Bastiladons, the centerpiece of our build today, or our video today, 1,760 damage value, 99 kills, over 11k damage dealt. Second Bastiladon, 61 kills, 1.3k damage value, over 7k damage dealt. But remember, these guys were allowed to use up all of their ammunition. So they used up all the ammo, plus moved into combat, and were still alive at the very end of the game. And that was largely due to the fact that Spice Power here went to target down Mazdamundi rather than the solar engines, which is one of those things. You get Mazdamundi low, so you really want to finish him off, and you kind of tunnel vision him on a little bit, but he is so tanky and got so much durability. Torx Brass Ball was pretty outstanding, just shy of 2,000 damage of value there, and 38 kills. He was hunting down big dinos all day. Brave Shaman, 125 kills, 1.3k damage value. Lovely cast there of the Traitorkin, 1.3 in the Gorbel. So the hero core did really good here for this Beastman build. Of course, the infantry isn't meant to do too much. If we have a look across the board, yeah, nothing got that much damage value. The Ungor Raiders did really good, 700 value, 740 and 775. They were allowed to loose all of their arrows, of course. Centaurs, 845 damage value. Tuskors, 580, 88, and 579 and 734 damage value from the thrown axes. These are chariots as well as Centaurs who are relatively well handled by the solar engines, and that's what I mean by them being a vital unit for the Lizardmen. They don't have much long range. You've kind of got solar engines, and then you've got the big bolt thrower, which is good against cavalry, but that's about it. Planted on the back of one of the Stegodons. They don't have artillery to deal with these type of units. It's kind of funny, obviously, Grombrindle is a Dowie main, so bringing the glorious kind of the Dowie style of play to the Lizardmen is always fun to watch. The Manticores didn't do too much. I mean, 700 damage value is pretty solid. The other one, though, only 310 and 104 from the Chaos Warhounds with poison. So guys, we will be moving on to the next game now. If you haven't liked and subscribed already, what are you doing? I have no idea what you're doing. You tell me. Make sure to comment. All that standard YouTube stuff as we load in. You didn't expect that, did you? No, plugging myself in the middle of a video. But up next, we're coming in under the guise of the Blind Bandit. It is me, myself, and I, in Rubber Duck War, taking on the forces of Dacta and his Vampire Counts. Now, this build should not surprise you. I have shown this build off before. It is very potent and deadly up against the Vampire Counts. Now, recently I did a video on how you can kite Vampire Counts with Lizardmen. It might actually be the last video I put up here today. But this one, we're going to be going for an old school box grindy fight. and it is really fun. So this was taken from a Battlemania tournament. I had a load of games against Daxter. He's a very scary opponent. We always have some really fun best of threes, and it's looking pretty cool though, our build. You've got to admit, we have Saurus Warriors on the front, couple of skink cohorts of javelins on the flanks, and triple temple guards. We're trying to one-up Grombrundle here by bringing 3 of the glorious temple guard. I need to bring temple guard far more often than I do. I tend to only really bring them in this matchup, but they look so freaking badass. I love the lore behind the fact that they're wearing the skulls of like the previous temple guard, or the skulls get passed down, and it like imbues them with power and knowledge and all that cool stuff. We do have double Bastiladon with Ark of Sotek this time. So the Ark of Sotek, it's an interesting one. I think in this matchup they were incredible, and I think they are far better than they used to be, and we've also got them chevroned up here today, so I'm expecting pretty good work from them. They're amazing chaff clearers, but we don't actually see them that much in competitive play, apart from up against forces like Vampire Counts, and that's due to the fact they can be shot. They have 140 armor for sure, which is really good, but not the best leadership in the universe, and you can kind of get rid of them before they kill too much of your chaff. But up against Vampire Counts, I think they're very, very powerful. We do have the Pale Death in here as well, the regiment-renowned Feral Troglodyte. The reason I like bringing him is to put long-range pressure onto Dragon Lords, as well as any other key components of a Vampire Count build, so they can't simply sit back and cycle charge you to death. They have to come and get you, and the Feral Troglodyte also comes in with Primeval Roar, which normally isn't super useful. To get this ability, you have to be in sustained combat for a while, but against Vampire Counts, where they're summoning zombies, they've got Felbats, and they're really trying to shut down your Pale Death, you can pop this and it increases your fighting force so well, and will actually allow Bastiladons to go toe-to-toe with Varghulfs and other units. We do have Ground Lord Mastermundi here, kind of surely the old ones, Apotheosis, Curse of the Midnight Wind, and Net of Amantok. The Net, probably the most vital part of this entire build to pin in those single charging single entities. Also, of course, we have Ruination and Banishment to kill Graveguard. Now, for the forces of the Vampire Count today, we do have zombies all across the front line, which is a traditional Vampire Count style of play. Felbats in the sky, as well as Vargeist, so triple Felbats and 1 Vargeist. And then we have the Von Karstein Vampire Lord Farline up in the sky on a Hellsteed, coming in with its own version of Tempest, just in case he went for an Air Core build. Also coming in with Undeath Resurgence, Flock of Doom, Raised Dead, and Invocation of Nahek. For the ground force, we have Skeleton Warriors actually surprisingly dotted all the way along, and double Graveguard, but no Regiment Renowned Graveguard, not that many Graveguard in general, just the 2. If you go 5 Graveguard against this build, you're probably going to have a much better time, I'd assume. We do have double Varghulfs down on the ground, as well as a Necromancer coming in with that Gaze of Nagash, which is pretty good at sniping single entities, so the Troodon is going to start moving forward, and for his Wanderlust here, he's going to actually get clipped pretty bad, and he's going to go, nope, didn't like that, going to fall back instantly, and we're going to have to use an Apotheosis just to heal our boy up a little bit. Javelins are being wasted at the moment onto some zombies, which isn't that good play by me, so I think I'm turning off fire at will at the moment to ensure we can try and get those javelins onto key targets like the Varghulfs who really lack armor. And we're going to be pushing downhill here, looking to engage our opponents in hand-to-hand combat. Saurus just vibing right now in front of the zombies who are doing a retreat, which is kind of hilarious. A load of them get obliterated as well by the Troglodon, who got 9 kills there, that one volley, but he doesn't have the most amount of ammunition in the world. I believe he starts with 20, so you don't really want to be shooting into frontline infantry like this. A little misplay by my opponent. He comes in, tries to get the old White King ability going down the line, but it doesn't do too much. I'm trying to shoot the White King, but he's hiding in the zombies. It's actually making me miss all of my attacks. Zombies aren't too kind of happy about this, but you know, it is what it is. We're now going to be moving in our Bastiladon, looking to crush the zombies as quickly as possible. Now, it's actually really good to get rid of zombies, spearmen, and other stuff early on. So using your Bastiladons and their ability, which is their Sotek's Poison, which is an area of effect ability which drains, up against cheap infantry, is actually really viable. You should 100% do it, because that means there is no chaff for these single entities to cycle charge through. We do catch one of the Varghulfs in a net. Unfortunately, it's kind of the wrong one here, and they aren't going to be able to escape without taking too much damage. Star Chamber Guardians are pushing forward aggressively, and we have some Felbats bomb diving our poor Pale Death. So simply going to pull back to the Bastiladon and allow him and the Skinks to clear out the Felbats nice and early. Big shot goes down on the Necromancer, doing some nice damage. I call him Mastermundi there. Lord Mastermundi, he's our master in this case, is vibing killing Felbats as well. We've got a load of infantry that's just slowly going to be pushing forward to engage the enemy, leaving Saurus at the back to deal with this flank of Skeleton Warriors and zombies, and move the Temple Guard more back into the action. You do see a big old overcast Flock of Doom coming down, but we're going to counteract with a Shield of the Old Ones, giving us some nice damage resistance and buffing our leadership, and then following up with a Banishment, which is just obliterating the Graveguard with the assistance here of the double Ark, who are fighting side by side with Lord Mastermundi at the moment. The Pale Dev's doing some good job, but he is currently obstructed, which is a bit of a shame right now. And looks like that Banishment really ripped its way through a large number of our opponent's forces there. We come in with Curse Midnight Wind, learn that melee attack, which again is so nice up against vampire counts, because they like these big death strikes, and you pop this on them and all of a sudden they're not actually hitting anything or doing that much damage. Little Skinks Who Dream are launching some javelins into the Vargeist and some lovely damage. Vargeist are really struggling with that Curse of Midnight Wind on them. So load their melee attack, really pitiful stats now on them. And the Saurus, Skinks, and Temple Guard Holy Trinity here is really just ripping them apart. Good work by these little Skink Javelins. And we're even going to be coming down with a Ruination on the Graveguard. Let's see how well this goes. I don't actually remember in the battle. It goes really well. It actually carves a load of Graveguard to pieces. In the main fight, the Vargulfs trying their heart out to drag down the Bastiladons, the Archosotic ones there. Peldef is trying to shoot in. He is occasionally. Looks like he flung a shot really far there. And the Star Chamber Guardians are surrounding the Necromant, who's currently tapping and dabbling with his Forbidden Rod. Temple Guard doing a decent job. The Bastiladons getting a little bit low HP wise, and of course they're not going to be able to stand up to the Vargulfs toe to toe for the duration of the whole battle, but they will with the assistance of the Curse of Midnight Wind. You can see the Vargulf stats do get dropped quite heavily there. We have a load of Temple Guard saturated on top of our troops, and now that there's not that many Graveguard left to deal with the Temple Guard, we can just sit on top of our elite warriors there. Primeval Roar goes down, and the Bastiladons actually have a whopping 49 melee attack, and they are scrapping. They are beating the living snot out of these Vargulfs. They're like, save me, save me. They're fleeing and trying to run. You can run, but you cannot hide from the Bastiladons. A big ramming shot into the flank knocks one down back to the foul depths from whence it came. And that Primeval Roar actually lost a relatively decent time. You can see it's still buffed on us. Even Lord Knights Dominion has 50 melee attack right now, and he hits pretty hard. Pale Death has buffed its own stats, and the Vargulfs are suffering. Balance power is starting to move in our favour. Vargeist, as well as the Vargulfs, are kind of slowly starting to die here. Von Castle Lord does land. We hit him with an old Net of Amantok, though, to pin him in place. Good counter punch. Undeath Resurgence comes in to buff his melee defense, but we have a lot of Star Chamber Guardians currently surrounding him, and the Vargulf is struggling now. We have the Pale Death in here, still a decent amount of ammunition, so we can pull back and kite if necessary. We have more Saurus Warriors who have dispatched some Skeleton Warriors, and then they're going to be moving in to help deal with this secondary unit. Some little Skinks are doing a fantastic job in the back, just holding back double zombies, keep them away from the main fight as long as possible. We do have some Skinks returning to the fight. Let's get a nice zoom in here of this absolute flustercluck. It looks like the Lord is well and truly surrounded by anti-large Temple Guard. The Vargulf got knocked to the ground, but it's going to get up once again. And the holy fires of Sotek are being brought to the battlefield. And you see the sneaky snakes are slithering out in all directions, wreaking havoc upon the forces of the vampire counts. Skeleton Warriors are really getting dragged down quite hard. We'll be dropping a banishment on zombies, which, you know, isn't very cost effective. But at the end of the day, there's no Graveguard or Skeleton Warriors left to really kill. So we might as well just do it and clear out the chaff where possible. Necromancer does go down. Good job by the Pale Death. Primeval Roar once again up and active. He's done a really fantastic job so far. And that's once again going to be buffing the Bastiladons up to an impressive 48 melee attack. And they're poisoning this Vargulf. Do I believe they're poisoned? That's only the missile strength poison on them, which that should still be connecting and hopefully doing damage. Little Skinks riding the shotgun do that, apply that poison, which is nice. More poison going to come down as well by the Ark itself. Vargulf is falling. Balance of power going heavily close to army losses as the Von Carstein Vampire Lord realizes he is outmatched by the mighty children of the old ones. A Pyrrhic victory for sure, and a pretty wild game. Well played to Dactyr. Now, the build we brought here is a little bit build roulette. If my opponent goes 5 Graveguard, all of a sudden you're in a lot more trouble, but then his build tends to be more expensive, has less money to invest in single entities, and likewise struggles more against kite style of play, which is very popular at the moment from the forces of the Dino Boys. But we managed to box back pretty hard there, and you just got a double box cast. Managed to sneak that in on you from the glorious forces of the Lizardmen. I will hop in, look at the damage dealt and damage value of all these units in just a second. Some of the Arks of Sotek did a pretty solid job here. But before we did, hope you guys enjoyed this double cast. If you did, let me know down below if you'd like to see more double casts into the future. I'm happy to to do them. They're a little bit longer though video format. So make sure to let me know if you do enjoy them, or if you'd rather just have the single cast as kind of like what we've been doing before, for the last couple of years and stuff. If you guys did enjoy though, make sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to comment and all that good stuff. Nakai would want you to. There's a load of links down below in the description to my Twitch channel. I'm actually going to be streaming later today with Logic, which is going to be really fun. Also links to my Patreon where you can support, my Discord where you can submit replays, get involved in tournaments and events. On Tuesday, which is tomorrow on the day of release of this video, we're doing a 1-build battle royale. It's going to be absolutely crazy, so make sure to hop in and subscribe and all that standard stuff so you can keep up to date with us. But anyway, once again, well played to Dacta. Let's delve in here. So the Arcs of Sotek didn't actually pay for themselves. 742 and 999 damage value, but they did really good HP damage, clearing out zombies, clearing out skeletons, and going toe-to-toe with those Vargulfs. My opponent simply was not able to out-snipe them, and they're relatively healthy in the late stages of the game as well, so they could have got a bit more value in the tank there. For this game, cohorts with Javelins, one unit really impressed me. It was probably this one on the left with 560 damage value, ripping in to those rather naked Vargeist flying in the skies. 376 on the other unit was kind of more used to hold back zombies and slowly drag them down. Peldiff is absolutely awesome in this matchup. 103 kills, 1,205 damage value. I wish we saw more Feral Troglodons in action. And I think the Peldiff does have its place. Very niche, but still definitely has its place there. 103 kills, not too shabby whatsoever. As for the Star Chamber Guardians, 2,000 damage value, 139 kills, 1,600 damage value, and 1,700. All the Temple Guard did absolutely amazing and were relatively healthy. Again, it was due to the lack of Grave Guard, but the Arcs of Sotek counter the Grave Guard, Temple Guard counter everything else. It's a really beautiful combo, particularly when you have those nets with Lord Mazdamundi to pin in those single entities. Considering he wasn't on Slack today, he got really good damage value, 1.4k there, 69 kills, so he's having a whale of a time, and 11k damage dealt. Saurus are big numbers, 193. 119 kills, 820 damage value, and 583. Again, helping fulfill that job here of cleaving through the chaff. For the Force of Dacta, Von Carstein Vampire Lord got 979 damage value, not too shabby whatsoever, considering he wasn't on a dragon or anything fancy. The White King, 670 damage value, Necromancer 892. Really lovely Gaze on the Gash off the rip, but luckily we were able to heal it up. Zombies were born to die, and that's just what they did today. 25 kills on this unit, though, and 100 damage value. Well played, zombies. Well played. I shall have my revenge, though. Skeleton Warriors did not do much. Zero... I don't know where this unit even was. 0 damage dealt, 0 value. It looked like it took a tiny amount of damage. I have no idea what was going on with that unit. The rest of the skeletons, 210, 240, and 180 damage value. Graveguard of Grapons, 780 damage and 144. Fellbats, once again, 0 damage value. Probably chasing away some of my units that routed, I'd assume, with those two units there. The other Fellbats, 98 damage value and 38, so nothing too fantastic. Vargeist got 400 damage value, and the Vargulfs only 400 and 1,000's good, but, it's not that great from these kind of classic heavy hitters, which are really being brought as the main punch to this build. Again, it's mainly due to the nets and the fact the Arcs of Sotek were able to hold their ground with that Primeval Roar combo. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you made it this far in the video, you're an absolute hero. And until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.